They don't, they're working on a bond. That's why they left $5,000 on the table.
Thank you.
No problem. They wouldn't have done that if they didn't think they were going to drive and make the bonus.
Oh, they left $5 million, that's how much they were lower than the next one?
Yep.
Well, the guy who worked for them,
There's one that lives there's an Oak Hill, if he lives up
but
patio. He's a senior engineer. But I went across the street.
He might be, but it's going to be late.
Plus Dan Foster was a senior engineer. And he was addicted. I think I've been doing it since this is construction engineering. We go back.
well, didn't meet the owner, but I met the owner's son.
Yeah, Junior Davis himself doesn't do much. His son pretty much runs.
Yes. And man, they don't waste any time. That's what the guy told me. He said, they don't waste a minute. Well, that explains it.
You know, the bonus is what they're doing.
That explains it.
That's what I was
Can you take a look at that one on your right hand?
Our entrance.
Yeah.
Underline.
Yeah, no.
Only along the side behind the and some of them are going to leave us as a
We're going to leave enough room for that. Oh, yeah.
we got the wall there.
Good evening, everybody. You can have your attention, please. I'd like to call the resumption of the October 19th board meeting to order, please. Mr. Secretary, will you please call order? Just one quick thing. Eagle Pond president is on phone. John Wood, who's on my speakerphone right there, so he can't participate in the meeting. As long as you can hear. Mr. Wood, can you hear?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Secretary?
Club patio. Here. Cypress Pond.
Here.
Eagle Pond condos. Here. Enclave.
Here.
Fairway patio.
Here.
Garden patio.
Here.
Golf villas.
Here.
Greenfield Village.
Here.
The Meadows.
Here.
Oak Grove.
Here.
Palmacia.
Here.
Plantations.
Here.
Sand Hill Lane.
Here.
Villas on the Green.
Here.
We have
Everybody's here. Thank you very much. Next slide, please, Savannah. I need an approval of tonight's meeting agenda. Mr. Hammond, second. Mr. Brett, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Tonight's new business is the approval of the 2021 assessment. Next slide, please. This is the public commentary. Each speaker is allowed a maximum of 3 minutes, and we ask if your subject matter has been addressed. For the crowd, please do not restate the same point of view. Mr. Reese the Vice President, will take this part of the meeting and announce the people in the order to which they signed up.
Savannah, where do you want him?
Not in front of the screen.
On the X.
On the X.
On this X, okay.
On the X.
First up, John Butcher. Come over here, John.
Oh.
John, you have to go up to this. You have to.
Hang on.
Oh.
Our president called in sick. I'm vice president representing him, so I'll wait till whatever point in time that the presidents have their time to speak.
Okay.
I assume you're addressing the floor at this point.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
That's correct.
Thank you for that clarification, John. Next up is Tom Weiss, is that correct?
Tim.
Tim?
Last week can you hear me?
You get up to the X. Talk really loud in the mic.
Hello, can you hear me?
It's
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, last week I kind of ran out of time. My 3 minutes I saw was just about up. I'm gonna try to get it in 3 minutes, but first of all, Bob, I wanna apologize to you. My wife said I was very rude to you, and she said I didn't tell everything that I told her I was gonna say, so she didn't come with me tonight. And I do apologize because we think the world of you. We love you as a golf pro. I've been in the golf business. I've worn your hats. And I bought our house down here and we moved down here because I have faith in you.
Thank you.
So I really, really, really want you to think about the golf course and making money and being a golf pro, which I think you're good at. I think maybe you wear too many hats. You look like you lost a lot of weight, and I don't want you, or you're always been skinny, but I don't want you to die before I do.
Gotcha.
So I want your help to be of good concern. If there's anything I can do, if you have a committee for the golf course and I will volunteer if there's an opening. I just love the golf game. And I really believe that the golf course here is a big asset to our homeowners. I lived on a golf course for 35 years. I bought my house because I played golf a couple years after the owner, and I knew he was going to make it into a nice golf course and a successful golf course. They did, and it really improved our housing. So with that being said, I just want to again apologize because I didn't get to say this, and that was my other half. The other side of the pancake that Dr. Phil talks about. There's two sides to a pancake, and you got to get both of them. But I will do everything I can. We can afford it. I'm sure that there's people that maybe can't, and I feel bad for them. But I'll just do everything I can to help the golf course.
Thank you.
And our clubhouse and our anything. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, forgive me if I really mess this up. Medicaid Kern? Did I do okay?
Of course,
All right.
excellent. Once again, here I am again, and I'd like to say thank you for, I think you're responsible for cutting the golf course, aren't you, on the drainage? No, you don't do the drainage, you do. Okay, oh, okay. Whoever's responsible for taking care of the golf course on the 8th hole, I live at 2904 Plantation. My next door neighbor, myself, and the Bakers have had a mess behind our homes. And the grass was so high, we actually need to bale hay right now, and it's time to cut again. Okay? I don't know if we need some nanny goats or what to rent on timeshare to clean up the back of my house, but we have an ongoing situation. I've lived here for a few years. This is the first time I've lived here that I've had water behind my house, and it's the first time I've had grass this high since I've lived here. And the guy that takes care of my landscaping will back me up on that. I asked him directly the other day. I said, do you remember ever having grass this high behind this house? And he said, no, not even during the hurricane. Golfers cannot get back there and hit their balls because it's going to be a maddening mess because they won't be able to find their balls. I mean, the grass is this deep now. You can bale hay. And I know with 7 people, as you said, working, I've taken that into consideration. You're working with a skeleton crew. I'll cut you some slack. But at the same time, we're homeowners, and you have people that are using the golf course presently, and it doesn't look very nice. If my house was that way, if my neighbors were that way, y'all would be on me heavy. I've experienced that in the past. I know what you're capable of doing. So let's be nice and do what you can, but clean it up. And you know, riding around, you have an issue. So you've tried to broach it. You did get the grass down. Let's work together. I'm not going to beat you up. You know, wrong wasn't built in a day. I want you to address it. You have. And I thank you one and all that are doing what you can do, tighten your belts. Since I attended the first meeting, I haven't missed any meetings, and I don't plan to miss any more in the future. I'm going to be here showing my ugly head like a turtle. And I'm going to listen to the homeowners because we do have an investment here, and you're trying to help us take care of it. But at the same time, the majority of the people, if you take a poll, I'm sure you'll find out are retirees. We've tightened our belt. And as this gentleman over here I listened to in the corner has mentioned, tighten
10
your
seconds,
belts.
Netta, 10 seconds.
Fine. Tighten your belts. Help us as neighbors. We're going to help you. We're doing all we can just as you are. We work together. I said once before, united we stand, divided we fall. Let's work together. If we can make it work. But don't expect us to have an unending checkbook for you, because most of us don't. God bless you one and all, and God bless this great nation.
Thank you, Mr. Reese. Next slide, please, Savannah. Okay, so we're here to discuss the budget that was provisionally agreed to at the workshop. I put up the entire 2021 budget, going from all the operational assessments, comparing this 2021 to 2020, the increases and decreases, all the way down. We've approved each one of these, or you've approved each one of these, every step along the way. The changes that we made or agreed to at the last workshop were a reduction in drainage repair and maintenance, lowering it from $48,000 to $36,000. Next slide. Any questions on this page? Okay. Next slide, please. We did that. We have a $2,000 increase in traffic control that was approved. That is in the patrols by the Polk County Sheriff's Office. The G&A, all that stayed the same. That was approved at one of the September meetings, I believe. And then we have our reserves down at the bottom. We have increased the recreational amenities reserve by $183,700. Increase in the total, the grand expenses up to $196,000 and change. Go to the next slide, please, Savannah. It's a little blurry because I had to blow it up a little bit so we could see. That raises the 2021 assessment from $700 currently to $885, $185 per unit increase. Anybody any questions on that? Okay, I would entertain a motion to accept that as the 2021 assessment. Mr. Shire, you making such a motion?
I'll make a motion, we accept the increase to level from the CCA to each of the HOAs of $885.
Thank you. Do I have a second to that motion? Mr. McCullough has made such a second. President, you can discuss now. Please come up to the exit if you wish to make any comments. Are there any comments, I should ask, or any questions, or Mr. Grant?
Do I take the mask off? Is this mask first?
Yeah, you can talk. Either way, whatever you're comfortable.
I'm looking at one of the workshops that we had in August, and the 2020 end fund budget. You had a road reserve of $264,600. And now you're showing a road reserve a lot less than that. My question is, what happened?
Mr. Shar, would you like to answer that for the road?
Oh, absolutely.
Mr. Mayor, is that your only question?
Yes.
Okay, good. Current road reserve is $264,000. The quote to resurface the road is $187 to $197. The reason we need to do that is it's the end of its life. We've patched it in 2 locations, Mark. One location's been done 2 times. This road is at last year of its life. It's a 15-year road. It's time to resurface it. That was the original plan. Our funding schemes were based on that. Though excuse me, Bob, I want to add something here. In the past couple of years, the cost of resurfacing has doggone near close to doubled. We're very fortunate in this association. We have 11.5 miles of road to surface, and though this is only 2 lanes, which are each a half mile, so it's 1 mile. It's going to consume most of the money we have, but the next opportunity for repaving we have will be in, I don't have the notes here, I think it's 2024 or 2025. So it gives us, it's the reason we increased in the Drainage Committee, Road and Drainage Committee, we increased our annual assessment by $30,500 for that. That is to make up the amount of the increase of resurfacing, and we're fortunate that we have some time. In my association, and I have about a 1/2 mile road in the Meadows, we have 2 years left. It darn near doubled our cost in 1 year. And my association's looking at about $200 a home just to make up in that short period of time for the increased cost of paving, even though we were on a good paving plan. So, Dave, as you look at that and you think, like I think, I want to stretch it longer, Mark's on me about the condition of that road. If you look at the center of the road on the southbound lane, that road is, you can see the seams starting to separate. That means it's going to start to spread out. Folks, the strongest thing you have in your community that makes your homes look good is the condition of your roads. This community has always had first-class roads. It will always have them as long as I serve that committee. We have the funds to do it now, and if we wait 1 year, it isn't going to make that much difference unless we don't do it and the road begins to degrade, and then we have a worse condition. So the time that Mark and I have concluded that we should see it done is sometime in the next year. The quote we have to do it is current. We'll execute it when the time is right and we see that the funds are properly available. We know that it's funded within the reserve for the road reserve. It doesn't go outside the road reserve. And I published a schedule that John Payson took and reviewed and will allow us to get back on schedule in the amount of time we have to address the upcoming pavings. So we do not see there would be any more increases in the road reserve beyond what we put in place this year unless the outside costs go crazy again. But it's been a recent thing that happened, so it shouldn't happen again.
But Bill, you have the money. We're in bad economic times. Our people in Cypress Pond pick limited income, and yet you want to do this year or in 2020. Can't we just postpone it a year?
We want to do it in 2021. The schedule, I don't remember, Mark, if it was 2021 or 2022 when the schedule was. Dave, what I'm telling you is we've patched it 2 times and we have the seams beginning to separate. That means the road is starting to go. You don't just let it go. It will look like City of Winter Haven. You do not want that.
Cypresswood, we're gonna have good roads. If you don't like the way we're dealing with the roads, you can replace the committee.
Okay?
Tough when you're short.
This is board questions, Kevin. Public commentary then. Who's next on the board? Any other questions? Board members? Mr. Butcher, come on up, please, sir.
My name is John Brookshire. I'm the vice president of Garden Patio. Our president couldn't be here this evening because of illness. I've not had the pleasure of attending the previous meetings to get all the facts and figures. My president supplied me with nothing tonight to refer to as far as any budgetary things go. I can't really speak to that with any degree of accuracy. What I can tell you folks is this. When I moved in here 3 years ago, I did not move in to support a golf course. I didn't move here to underwrite the type of expenditures that we've had to cover the last 2 times with the increases we've had. This place is never going to be Augusta National, let's face it. We have to stop spending as if it were. As far as the road replacement Bill's talking about, I'm with the gentleman over here that spoke earlier. We need some belt tightening. Our roads over in Garden Patio are suffering the same situation right now, but we're going to push it back another year just because of this whole situation with everybody's finances and folks down a fixed income and what have you. We just need to take it easy for a bit here financially. Be a little bit more fiscally, well, I won't say intelligent, but just reserved. I think we need to ease off of all this spending a bit. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak to the motion?
I got a quick one, Bob.
Come on up, Mr. Potter, please.
Just real quick.
Thanks, man. I didn't have a chance to ask a question, but I know there's been a lot of budget cuts that you guys have done to trim the fat to get it to a better level. I was just wondering, when it comes to the road and drainage, what sacrifices are we looking at for the next year because of the budget cuts? That's all.
Mark, would you like to address the change from 48 to
Yes.
36,000, please? What that will, and how that will impact the community?
Steve, what it basically does is just change the planning process. I mean, and because we know we have this amount of dollars to work with for the next year. But if there's an emergency situation that comes up, like in Tom's Gret neighborhood, where Canberra Road, we had a collapse in the middle of the road, and you immediately have to fix it because you can't get people in and out safely to their homes. Well, then we're going to have to sit down and talk about that and probably have to take money from the general reserve to go ahead and fix those emergency situations. Because that's what the impact of reducing that fund, that working fund does. And of course, for those of you that don't know, when we started this whole thing, we took an evaluation of this entire project here, and we measured all the pipes, all the inlets, the age of the pipes, the condition of the pipes, and all the rest of that. And of course, when they started this type of complex many years ago, they used primarily corrugated metal pipe, and they have a limited life. And over the years, we've been replacing all of those corrugated metal pipes with concrete pipe. Or now we use some other type of heavy-duty plastic pipe called HDPE that has a 100-year lifespan, so that we never have to do this again. As a matter of fact, again, your neighborhood has probably received the most replacements that everyone in the community has supported over the years. I mentioned this last time, but of course we don't do any work in Oak Grove because that's a new subdivision, or Enclave because that's a new subdivision, or Palmacia, or Sand Hill Lane, or Eagle Pond, or Enclave. All of those areas are new, so there's very little money spent back there. The money is all spent up in the front half, really. Primarily in the area of Canberra, St. Andrews over the years, we've spent quite a bit, and Greenfield Village probably the most. But that's really the impact. So Bill and I to sit down and plan, okay, are we gonna replace this pipe this year? We know it's in marginal condition, we'll just wind up postponing it.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Any other questions or comments from the board members? Okay, let's vote. We'll do a roll call vote for this. Mr. Secretary, start.
Club Patio,
No.
Cypress Pond,
No.
Eagle Pond,
Yes.
Enclave,
Yes.
Fairway Patio,
Yes.
Garden Patio,
No.
Golf Villas,
Yes.
Greenfield Village,
Yes.
Yes.
Meadows,
Yes.
Oak Grove,
Yes.
Palmacia,
Yes.
Plantations,
Yes.
Sand Hill Lane,
Yes.
Villas on the Green,
Yes.
The measure passes 11-3. Thank you, everybody. Do any of the board members have any business?
What is the question on the floor? I'm sorry.
There's no question on the floor. I was asking for any other board member questions before we ask for a motion to adjourn.
Yes.
You have a question, okay, Mr. Howell has a question. You can first.
Hey, Bob.
He was first. Yeah, Dave, you can go next. Mr. Howell?
Do you wanna make a comment?
No, I was gonna vote for adjournment.
No, okay, Mr. Howell has a question first. Hold your horse.
Get out of here. I don't have a question. I just want to make a comment. And I said to Monique earlier that I hope at some point in the future, pretty soon, that when we have board meetings, we're going to be seated like this. I think that's our permanent plan. And that if the board members want to talk, we don't have to get up here and stand in front of this thing. Because when I'm standing up here and I'm looking at my fellow board members, I don't like to feel like I'm lecturing you. We're all in this thing together. We're all neighbors. And I like the idea that we can sit at the table and lean across from one another and just have a conversation. I think it's important, though, in listening to the audience comments from the 2 workshops and 2 of the meetings that we've had, we've invited community comments. There just seems to be, and the gentleman that got up here and said when he moved in here 3 years ago, he didn't move in here to support a golf course or a pool or all the amenities that we have. And that may be true in his mind, but he moved into a golf and country club. And it's what we are. And the board, and I really appreciate the vote tonight, but I've already had several members of the community, not just in my own HOA, saying that this $185 we just approved is too low. And it is too low. And I want to just alert everybody in here, we're in for this again next year. And I want to make one other comment, and I'll sit down. The budgets that the 5 committees that operate Cypresswood are made up of volunteers. Some people like Bill and like Mark have been on those committees 30, 40 years. I've been on some of the committees for 5 years. But the budgets that are presented are, they're to the bone stuff. I don't know a single committee that comes in here or meets with a wish list like road and drainage or the landscape committee or whatever you call the guardhouse committee. That's not how we operate.
And it's a very conscientious, very sincere look at the finances. But when a president, and this is I think we're making some progress in this area, but when you become a president, and some of us became presidents our first year by default, nobody would do it, and I stuck my finger out, and I've had the job for 5 years since. There's a lot to learn. But one of the key things that I learned early in the process, I didn't know anything. So I had to look to those like Mark and like, now Bill, your name was Blaine, and to others that were senior to me on board, Jim at the time, back there. And so I had to look to them for the leadership. And so when the committees would get up and make their report, me as a new guy, I didn't understand everything that I was hearing, but these men had served and these women had served so many years that the smart thing for me to do in the time that I would need to learn would be to follow the lead of the experienced leadership. And I see some movement in that area, and I've already met with 2 boards explaining this transfer fee that we did. I'm meeting with Jan's board. Am I saying your name right, Jeannie?
I answered
However I say
anything
it.
anymore.
I'm meeting with her board at her request on the 23rd to explain the transfer fee. And there are things that we can do to offset some of the increases by raising other monies. We're raising our road reserve in Oak Road from $4,000 a year to $5,000 a year come December. And we made that additional money off of the transfer fee, and we're not having to raise our own HOA fee.
Smart move.
So I really just appreciate everybody's cooperation. I don't think any of us have made enemies among one another, and I just appreciate the fact that we can sit like this and talk face to face.
Thank you, Mr. Howell. Mr. Kraft?
Move for adjournment.
Second.